the national curriculum really seems to have had a big impact on where we are today. Can you just explain what life was like in the education system before that, and then what it looks like now, and whether or not the national curriculum has played a bit of a role in the drop off ultimately, if that's if that's something that's become important.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, I was always against a national curriculum when it was first, introduced federally. I argued against it because I'm a conservative, I'm a liberal, so I'm always a bit wary of centralising power. And once you have control over something, now, whether it's education or finance or energy, once you have this top down approach, then you can get into trouble because it can very easily be captured. So I've always argued for greater autonomy and flexibility at the local level. And a lot of the research in America, England, and Australia, even here, shows that those schools that often do better academically, but not just that, often have greater control over their staffing, their curriculum focus, and budgets, etc. So I was never in favour of a national curriculum. I've always argued for greater subsidiarity, as I call it, greater control at the local level. And frankly, that's why a lot of Catholic and independent schools do so much better and why they're so popular with parents, because they don't have this mandated centralised control as government schools do. Now, the national curriculum, as many of your listeners, viewers would know, it's very woke. I mean, instead of just focusing on the subjects, as I did when I was teaching, when I taught literature, I wasn't interested in sustainability, in Asia perspectives, in Indigenous perspectives. I taught literature. So if it was David Malouf or Henry Lawson, I taught the poem or the play or the novel. If it was Shakespeare, I talked about that. But what happened with the national curriculum, and it's been happening for the last 20, 30 years, the curriculum has become very woke. So it's all about these different politically correct ideas about victimhood, about identity politics, pushing what Geoffrey Blainey, our great historian, calls a black armband view. So it's all very pessimistic, it's all very negative. And there's a real issue here that it's actually indoctrinating generations of young people with a very nihilistic, a very bleak view of the future. I've seen young girls crying on TV at the demonstrations about climate because they say, I can't have children. We can never have babies because the world's about to end. And as you know, Senator, during the whole debate about the voice, the Australian Education Union, the Teacher Union, the AEU, they were telling teachers in the classroom that you must tell the children we were invaded, the First Fleet led to genocide. So even in the national curriculum, even though it's been there under Labor and Liberal governments, it's very woke. And that's the danger because President Lincoln many years ago said, what happens in the classroom in one generation will be policy at the government level in the next generation. And that's what's happened. And, I pick up on your point you made before, Michael Gove, who was Secretary of State for Education in the UK. He argued a lot of people, baby boomers like me, who were radicalised during the 60s and 70s, they went into media, politics, university, schools, the corporate world. So you've had a lot of, well, two or three generations of people who have been indoctrinated, and that is the way what I call the cultural left works. That was their strategy. They were never going to win at the barricade. They were never going to have a revolution physically. So you take the long march, family, school, universities. And that's what they've done.